Okay, here's a question, quadratic equation asking for how many distinct, that means different, you can't repeat the number, real solutions does this equation have? There are two ways we can look at this. Let's look at the first way would be the algebraic way. The second way will be using decimals. Let's look at the algebraic way of solving this. So if you want to isolate x, in other words, get x by itself from this equation, you have to get rid of the squared first. So how do you undo something that's squared? The opposite of squaring something is square rooting something. So we're going to square root this side, and we're going to square root that left side. What happens here is the square root and the squared cancel out, and you have x minus 1 equals, look at this, you can't take the square root of a negative number. However, we have a cheat code. A way around this is if you ever have a negative under the radical, you take out an I value, and you keep the positive version of that number. I stands for imaginary number. So what's going to happen now is you can take the square root of a positive 4, and this becomes plus or minus 2i. Yes, anytime you're solving an equation and you end up taking a square root, you need to consider the plus or minus. So guess what? To solve for this, you would add 1 to both sides. So your answer here would be 1 plus or minus 2i. So back to the question. We were being asked how many distinct real solutions. We don't have any real solutions. Why? Because our numbers are imaginary. This is known as a complex number. It's got two parts. It's got the real number part right here, and it's got the imaginary component right here. So if any part of a number is imaginary, it renders the whole number imaginary. So we would say this one has no real solutions. Now let's look at the decimals way of seeing it. So what we're going to do is immediately go ahead and type in this equation into decimals, like right here. And then once you do, you're going to notice that there is no graph. And what that means is there is no real solution. Solutions happen where the graph crosses the x-axis. For example, if I played around with this and changed this to a positive 4, you immediately see that the graph does cross the x-axis. That will be two real solutions right here and right there. But since we had a negative number, those solutions are gone. So decimals really quickly shows you that this thing has no real solutions. Hope that helps.